Hello, welcome to the program. Ahead, in the wake of the US Super Bowl, we'll take a look at why ESPN's become one of the biggest sports publishers in Australia, with Lance Peaty, Director of Digital Products and Partnerships at ESPN. Plus, it may be a so-called phony TV war, but what does the latest 2 weeks tell us about the direction of free-to-air this year? Well, Melissa Hay, Head of Screen Trading at OMD, will join us a little later in the program for the outlook. But first, Rupert Murdoch's media entertainment giant 21st Century Fox has reported a surge in profits over the past quarter, helped by asset sales and strong cable television and film results. It comes, though, as Murdoch's other business, News Corp, sees one of its largest investors sell down his stake from 6.6% to about 1%. For more, we're joined, as always, by our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek. James, in terms of this news, let's start with the 21st Century Fox earnings, because they were pretty solid. What drove them? Yeah,
look, good result. Same thing that's been sort of powering the business for a little while, the cable channels and the film business. The film business is a bit more cyclical, of course. You rise and fall on your hits. They've got a few good movies out at the moment. There are a couple up for Oscar nominations a couple of weeks. Birdman, the Grand Budapest Hotel. There's a sequel to Grand Budapest Hotel coming out, so that little franchise will keep rolling on. And then the cable channels, which have been doing good business for a long time now. Everything from the Nat Geo business, one of the quiet achievers, a whole lot of different Nat Geo channels in lots of territories all around the world. FX, The Walking Dead, that program, does brilliant business, equivalent-sized audiences to what free-to-air networks are getting these days. So the big challenge there for the company, still probably the Fox free-to-air broadcasting in the US. They really need a new hit to pull them through. They used to ride on the back of American Idol, if you like, which was a massive franchise for them. That's really come off the boil.
What about the changes that we heard in News Corp to their major shareholders? What does this mean for the company? Just outline it for us going forward. Yeah, look,
not a huge lot. Look, the company's been through a lot over the last year. Losing a significant investor, you know, a few people examine their holdings and question it, but gee, they've been doing that a fair bit over the last couple of years, giving some of the challenges they've been going through. Look, when the company split, it was always seen as 21st Century Fox was a little bit more of an exciting investment. You know, its prognosis was a lot better. Analysts thought that'd be really the one that would move ahead. News Corp's still finding its way, I guess, post-split, and this is just another sort of you know, another sort of bridge in that path to where it'll end up.
All right, let's get a bit of a share market perspective then. We'll bring in Evan Lucas from IG. Evan, great to have your company. So what's the longer-term impact on trade for News Corp? I mean, could we see other investors potentially follow suit?
Possibly, and hi James, hi Ingrid. It's an interesting one, but you've got to listen to what's coming out from the Saudi prince himself. He's saying very clearly that they still very much support what the Murdoch family is doing and very much support the chairman as well. And they are only moving around about 1% and a bit of their shareholding, so 6.6 down to around about 5 and a little bit more than that. So they're still going to be a substantial shareholder. They're still going to have a fair amount of say in there. The concern that some of the other sort of competing papers were suggesting was that he would lose his power. In terms of what the share market's showing you, looking back at the results, and James alluded to it very clearly, they were very solid, and Rupert himself actually says that's what they are. But the headwinds in the FX market, the headwinds also with the fact that Fox is still struggling to really generate, has actually probably seen their share price why it's underperforming. It's not a huge underperformance, but despite this really big jump in revenue, the share price hasn't really picked it up. So a little bit of bad news. As I said, I think the shareholder idea is a limited one. I think they're more worried about what's going on with Fox and whether or not it can reproduce what it once upon a time was.
Well, what about 21st Century Fox? Because those earnings today these earnings looked pretty good. What does that mean for the media space going forward? Yeah,
well, it was very good. And as they alluded to, it's obviously the cable and their pay TV. Ad revenue was also very strong. So they are generating in that area. It's part of the reason why they did the restructure. It's why they sold off Sky Italia. It's also why they sold off Sky Deutschland to be Sky B and own that sort of big overbroken brand of Sky over in Europe. It's obviously a 39% shareholding, so they are looking at ways to regenerate that. It's the American business that they probably need to look at how they regenerate that, and that comes down to programming. So that's more of a structural level rather than, you know, a board and a shareholder level. So that will be the one thing to change. Other thing to look at maybe is the fact that they need to continue to shore up their filming business. It was very solid, but as James alluded to, it's cyclical, and they have had some quarters, particularly midway through a calendar year, that tends to be quite weak. So we're about to come up to that now.
All right, Evan, thanks as always.
Thanks, guys.
Evan Lucas there from IG. Well, from one global player to another, focus has turned to ESPN this week, given its coverage of Super Bowl 49, which broke a few US TV records. Well, for more on ESPN's Australian offering, we're joined by Lance Peaty, Director of Digital Products and Partnerships at ESPN. Lance, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Super Bowl very much in focus. Just tell us about ESPN's relationship with the Super Bowl and also how it's offered in Australia.
So we are the the subscription TV broadcaster in Australia. It's exclusive to us in HD. Seven also carries it, but yeah, I mean, Super Bowl's a massive event for us. NFL, along with all the American sport, has grown phenomenally for us. So yeah, it's part of a big remit for us in this territory.
Yeah, that's your big ticket item, I guess, in this country, and I guess you mightn't get a bigger single audience this year. But tell us about some of the other attractions for Australian customers that get the ESPN subscription on their packages.
Well, American sport's our heartbeat. Our NFL, the NBA in particular, is really good. We've had massive growth across NBA. The numbers there are phenomenal. Year on year, we're seeing massive improvement there. But the other part of the offering is Champions League, UEFA Champions League football and FA Cup football. They're a big part of our offering as well.
That, so you mentioned Seven as a partner in the with the Super Bowl. They also have the NFL season stuff here. Do you like having a very active, free-to-air partner? Is that good news for you? Just the more this sport gets out there.
Absolutely, it's quite complementary to our partnership on the ad sales side now. Seven West Media represents our TV ad sales, so it works really well.
Yeah.
The big growth story at ESPN, is it your digital audiences going forward? And I mean, that's sort of what's turning you into one of the biggest sports publishers in Australia now.
Absolutely, our digital footprint is the biggest in category in Australia, so everything ranging from Cricinfo and Footy Tips through to ESPN FC as well, #1 in category. So digital is a massive part of our business in Australia.
Tell us a little bit more about Cricinfo, some of the detail there. I mean, ESPN and cricket don't go hand in hand for a lot of people, but obviously in some parts of the world it's very strong for you. So just tell us about that relationship and what the Cricinfo offering is.
Yeah, Cricinfo is massive. It's 22 years old this year, which is about as old as the internet in this country. So it's been a go-to for cricket fans around the world for many, many years. So it's an important part of our offering in Australia and really a massive part of what we've got going on in the next couple of months. So we've got a fair bit happening around Cricinfo, but we've also got a huge broadcast happening in partnership with Destination New South Wales in Sydney Harbour over the next 2 months during Cricket World Cup, which is massive. You've
got the digital audiences, obviously. So how big is your editorial team and I guess the contributors working in Australia?
It's growing. It's growing a lot. We've got editorial teams cast all around the world, and obviously with Cricinfo there is a big part within India. But ours is growing, in particular our social media presence. We've made a big investment around social media editorial stuff in Australia, and we saw great results for that during Super Bowl, where the Australia-New Zealand Twitter handle was trending on Twitter throughout the whole Super Bowl coverage. So.
What's your sort of online audience, and how are they coming to you? Is it all about mobile? Is there sort of tablet usage, or is there still a big desktop audience?
There's a big, massive desktop audience on your Monday to Friday user.
People watching at work.
Having a snack at work.
It does gravitate to mobile across the weekends generally, but I think with responsive sites happening now across a lot of digital, it doesn't matter what platform you're on, you'll be served the best experience. And I think with ESPN, we're doing that with ESPN FC, and now Cricinfo has launched its new site as well in responsive.
And do they come in on apps, or do they use browsers? Where's that trending? So I'm starting to see some people saying that, yeah, apps getting too hard for lots of people and it's turning back to browsers, is it?
Well, you need to cater for both. The mobile web audience is still massive, but the apps, we're catering for that, and definitely we've just upgraded. It's a critical part. We've upgraded our app on Cricinfo for the upcoming World Cup. It's faster, it's got the best depth of statistics, it's the go-to place for cricket.
How crucial is video to the offering, and especially sourcing, I guess, cricket when you don't have the rights necessarily in Australia?
video is a massive part of our offering, and I think the partnership that we've done with Destination New South Wales for this, the show that we're doing on Sydney Harbour, over 130 programs will go out. There'll be dual streams. One stream will service our rights markets, our rights cleared markets, which are the US, Caribbean and Latin America, and then the non-rights markets will get another stream without the highlights. So it's huge. We've got some massive talent involved in this panel program. That will result in a lot of video on demand that will feed through to Cricinfo. So it's a huge part of our plans. And I guess ultimately it feeds the second screen experience. That's the big thing for us, is that this show really feeds the whole second screen experience and gives an alternative to the actual broadcast.
Lance, a lot of major sports are taking control to a certain extent of some of their content, particularly in digital in Australia. We've seen the AFL do that. Cricket Australia is just really ramping up what they do. Is it getting a little tougher competing with the sporting bodies as well as other publishers?
Oh, look, it's good. Competition's good in any industry, but look, I feel like the one thing that we have at ESPN is pure independence, and that is you will always get the best game around the game coverage and independent views all the way. I guess that can't always be the way, no matter how well you try to play it as a governing body. You can't always do that. So with us, it's all about independence and ultimately the best game around the game.
All right, Lance, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Lance Peaty, Director of Digital Products and Partnerships at ESPN there. We are going to now go back to another topic we're watching. On the show last week, you might remember we spoke with Presto's Sean James, and he indicated there could be an announcement soon about a deal with Foxtel's Triple Play. Well, this week we got it. Pay TV provider Foxtel entering the broadband market, announcing details of a Triple Play combining internet access, Foxtel TV and also a home phone service. Well, for more, let's return to James Manning about this. James, in terms of Presto, how's it involved?
Yeah, look, Sean did pretty well hinting that it was coming, because they didn't even have their Triple Play bundle announced, but they formally announced it this week. Sort of bundles for both new customers to Foxtel, existing customers. Presto's involvement sees them. So if you've got the Foxtel broadband and you take up the Presto subscription as part of your package, they won't count any of those downloads. So it's a bit of a bonus there. You can download to your heart's content, watch as much content as you want, and it won't eat into whatever the download cap is on your plan.
All right. Also, I want to talk about Nova Entertainment, because they've put some research out about neuroscience, basically relaxed listening environment and low ad clutter makes the audience a better target for advertisers than its competitors. Tell me a bit about the research.
It's sort of something that would make sense, you know. If you're Smooth FM, it's really a relaxing experience. They really like to create that environment, easy listening music, that you're probably going to be more receptive to the ads, perhaps. You're just going to be a bit more chilled. I don't know, it sort of makes sense. But advertisers would want to know, you know, they'd want to see some data about that. So they've done neuroscience investigations, some research. That's that
They're
thing.
Getting scientific on us.
They plug electrodes all over somebody's head, and they sit there and they listen to all the music, and they just track their responses and all that sort of stuff. So they've done it. It's been a pretty massive undertaking. A big panel. They've listened to a lot of radio. They've listened to the Smooth competitors. I think Kiss, Today, Triple M. And they've come up with these stats, which should be pretty impressive to Smooth advertisers. Nova Entertainment, which owns Smooth, think there's a lot of upside still in Smooth FM, because it's starting to get some really good ratings.
All right, just want to also talk about the Outdoor Media Association. They've released some ad sales updates this week for January's sales. What does it look like? Yeah,
look, it's up 16%. That's really good news, from about $42 million. That's after a 2014 performance where they hit $600 million in total sales, with an increase of 10% for the year.
All right. We are going to take a quick break here on Media Week. Coming up next, though, we'll get a deeper look into TV ratings with Melissa Hay, Head of Screen Trading at OMD. Stick around for that.